Before we get to the main presentation of today's video, I just wanted to briefly remind you that in my Discord, we have laid out a forum where we pretty much, and those that want to contribute are welcome to do it. But this is essentially what I've set up, and we have tips here in terms of how to approach Guild Wars, especially if you are just a player that is passively playing this mode, or if you really want to get serious about it. So just briefly, I recently updated my max BP hero guide because not only did I take into account all the awakenings for each one of the legendaries that is currently in the game and try to compare them to the class itself, but we went a little bit further in terms of not only putting the data in the spreadsheet, but I expanded and teamed up with Prospector to get it on his website, so you have an easier way to see it or access it. So that is one tidbit. The second one, this is something that I always do before the season start. It's just I draw basic diagrams of the positions that the map can afford us, especially where we can establish the tank. And then from there, which are going to be the susceptible tiles and which ones are the ones that you're going to have to protect based on the mechanics of the demon soldiers. So this is all in here if you just want to get just the general sense of how to position things when you are setting up your defenses. Same thing with the keep here, kind of just give you a general idea as to how everything is laid out for the map and how you can possibly, put whatever formation you can based on your account. Okay, so those are the tips there. And also, I do try to update based on what I'm seeing every season, any type of build guide, and update it as best as I can based on what we're seeing. And I just included a little bit of a tidbit here as it relates to the Grotesque Fiend, and you'll see me and Cephas discuss that in the main presentation. And also, for those of you that want to get competitive in Guild Wars, I do invite you to send your application here to the Rising Horde. That is my guild currently, and we are part of a cluster. There are two other guilds that are also competitive in GvG alongside with the Rising Horde. So based on the status of your account, we'll evaluate it and then we'll place you in. And just as a note here, with the recently finished gauntlet, we did go all the way into the top 4. We gave the Rage a little bit of challenge there in the third place match, but we came up 5% short. So we're there. I mean, we're competing with the top guilds in the game. Things are changing. The landscape is changing in the top 3. So we're definitely looking forward to improve upon that. And if you are interested, I do suggest that you consider the Rising Horde. All right, enjoy the rest of the presentation. All right, hello again, everybody. Welcome back in. It's the season 10 of Guild Wars is about to open up in the global server, and it's already been going on for about 2 weeks now in the Forerunner server, so people are getting an idea of how to combat this stuff in there. And here we're going to start toying around with some of the new heroes, some of the new demon soldiers, and look at the new maps and how they have been laid out. So to join me for this season to discuss the new maps and type of formations that we can try to put together to see if we can pick up some wins on the defensive side is Cephas. And he, from MAD, he has decided to join me here in the channel. We just recently did a podcast, the podcast Wars Going On, to discuss some of the issues that is going on with the game in the top guilds. But for this one, we're going to keep it on the lighter tone, and we're just going to have a little bit of fun discussing Guild Wars here. So thank you very much for joining me, Cephas. I do appreciate it.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
Okay, so we get a little bit of a break, I guess, you and I here between Gauntlet and Guild Wars, so we get to start thinking about how to set this up here. So let me let's start out with this guy here. This guy's been very problematic in some situations, right? Depending on BP differences, he could make stuff really easy. And if you don't have the proper heroes, right now it's really hard to counter this fellow. So one of the things, at least from what I wanted to do here for the people that are trying to build defenses is in terms of defense, is gearing up heroes and how to try to counter the Chumper or Kirby or the Worm, however you want to call it. Right now. So let me briefly bring in the defenders, because these are the guys that we really depend to hold the front line. And so there are some very specialized builds going on right now to try to combat that. So this is going to be for developed accounts, especially those that are in Overlord. But if you are in Platinum 3 or in that edge of Platinum 3 to Overlord, this is kind of the process of things how are shaping up right now because of Kirby. So one of the sets that kind of got a little bit rejuvenated for this is the Unshaken Will. And it's because it's giving extra HP, there is recovery in it, and also there is an artifact that is coming into play, right, Cephras?
Yep.
So let me just briefly show you guys that one, and is this legendary one that now people are focusing on is the Watchguard Unity, because it's giving max HP to the hero. And ideally, when you're trying to build a defense against the Chumper, you are compensating for the Swarm. That's essentially what's going on right now. So you can give up that extra block if you can, but this is one of the legendary artifacts right now that has really come into the game. So I don't know if there is anything else in terms of builds that you want to share here. I know Cataclysm has picked up as well, given the recent modifications that Cataclysm has undergone. So there's going to be, so I strip Valera here, but given the special attributes that you gain from the faction bonuses and their exclusive gear on top of that, that's also making a play in Guild Wars, especially in the last season and the Gauntlet.
And interestingly enough, there are a lot of people who actually sleep on Hell's Lament as well. It's one of those ones where people use the upgrading gems, get Hell's Lament, and they actually get disappointed. But there are certain heroes, particularly like heroes like Nastia, who kind of go through ult really quickly. They benefit from Hell's Lament quite well because they have really good uptime in it. So look at how frequently your hero is in their ult, and decide whether you think Hell's Lament is actually good.
Yeah, so do tests like that in your sandbox. And that is an interesting point that you bring on. It's the ones whose ultimates come up quicker and that last within that 20-second frame, right? So yeah, you can get a lot of firepower. The only unfortunate part, I will say, is that some of the faction exclusives are critical damage. And you want to build as much attack as you can. But do take advantage of the heroes that have their own exclusive gear in that set. And yeah, the elements definitely has a play in there as well. All right, let's go over defense building. I'm going to start here in the keep because this one, I feel that this is going to be the shortest one because the engagement points are limited. And we can, as always, they try to make the key pieces so everybody can hit it. All right, so let me bring in all these guys here so we can kind of get an idea of how things are laying out. So I was just doing previous stuff here, looking to see how Demon Soldiers were behaving. So, all right, Sephra, let's start here. This is going to possibly be the first engagement point that some defenses are going to set up that you're probably going to see. So in this type of style here of defenses, I would say that some of the defenses that might pop in here, let's start possibly Esotericists and Pierces were the first in mind. Do you have any other ones that you think might pop in?
Yeah, I mean, Piercer's there, 100%. Just coming across the map, when you've got heroes like Eovar, Lady Alex, who are going to be reaching across. There's even a ground unit where Imrit would be really useful coming across as well with your extra CC. Definitely something worth exploring. You'd have to obviously look at the interactions with your Garnet Guards, just making sure where they're going to hit. So it's always setting it up in sandbox, doing a quick run, just seeing where your Garnet Guards are actually targeting as well. But yeah, definitely viable for piercers. Esotericist, yeah. There's is there a tile next to Brakir?
Just the one behind here where I have Valara.
Fine. Yeah. So that one, obviously, like when you start thinking esotericist, now you're starting to think like heroes like Neja as well, right? But obviously, Neja there can be maged down. Not the greatest HP pool either, so it's easy to mage. Ideally, you want kind of a diagonal kind of placement to give Neja that kind of immunity to the mage.
Right. That's the one thing that I want people to emphasize here is that if you do put a fighter in this tile, you are putting this platform unit in a very precarious situation. So want to make sure that they have a lot of HP and the bookkeepers don't pick something like that off. So with the Piercer compositions, somebody like Lily, you can use her for the extra extension if you want to go all the way back here. But yeah, so I was thinking, given that they've given us this ground tile here, there is so many possibilities here with Valera, Imret, anybody you want to use CC for to slow things down here. That's one way to try to compensate to make sure that the BKs or the bookkeepers and the Gardener Guards don't really get to that platform here on top. Just slow things down, mess with their AI so their targeting just goes out of whack, or you freeze them in some way. So, but yeah, the nasty compositions, I think, is going to be anything where you have the luxury of having Iobar, and especially at the top, Lady Alexandria.
And there's with season 10, there's a lot more placement tiles in general just coming across the map, right, which are actually out of range of your archers, of your Garnet Guards. So you've got a bit more freedom to build the defenses, which is needed given the strength of current Demon Soldiers.
The current Demon Soldiers, correct. Okay, so that's kind of the problem. The only problematic tile that I see is here, and especially if you put a fighter here. So that's kind of the idea that you have here. This here opens up some possibilities for you if you have any type of fighter that can give you that extra range to try to see if there's anything that you can do, especially with like the likes of Emerald or Valera, just to kind of slow things down at the front. Give you a chance for here the backline to do whatever it is that you need them to do. All right, let me go in the middle here, and I'm gonna call this the dead zone unless there is something that I'm missing here, Sephiroth. Because if we decide to make this our engagement point here, these two tiles are dead, and I don't see anything else that you can. I mean, if you want to get cheeky, I guess you could try to do something back here. But it's going to be really hard to try to defend the defender here, or the tank, from this position.
The only thing I could think of there that would work is a Piercer comp. Because you could, for example, you could still have CC units, like even a Beelzebub would actually reach across from the left side where your Lily is, would also reach across as well without extended range. But your piercers would be able to reach, so you'd have a few tiles there, but I do think there are better kind of areas where you would build a piercer comp. But yeah, where your Valara is at the moment, that would obviously be unfortunately a dead spot, because Garnet Guards would just snipe that as they walk past.
And okay,
archers.
And then the other reason I'm going to tell you folks why I'm calling this a dead zone is because the track of the Demon Soldiers is going to be coming down here from this red spot, and then they come and then turn, and then they're facing these units here. So if you go look in your sandbox, and if you look at the AI of your bookkeepers or your archers, their first targets are going to be this platform here, or the bookkeepers will just have the luxury to snipe any one of the units that are laid out here. So you see that splash damage, and then just wipe you down. So it's kind of mimicking what we saw in Season 9. There were particular placements that you needed to put in the middle, otherwise you would just be susceptible to them targeting you. So that's why I was calling this kind of the dead zone, because if you do put the defender here, this platforms, they're not going to be useful to you unless it's somebody like Valera, but once she comes out of her invisibility, she's targetable. So just be careful with little things like that. So this is kind of like the heads up. But if anytime you set up a defenses and you see the demon soldiers coming to your comp from the left or the right, always use your sandbox to look at what their AI does, and that's exactly what the bookkeepers do. They see these guys, boom, they target them, they're out. All right. And Carnelian is not going to be fast enough to protect everybody. So just keep that in mind when if you are a keep defender and you are thinking about putting anything in these two spots. All right.
I mean, the thing that I do when it comes to any defense that you set your defense, and if you just want to see if it's susceptible, take Garnet Guards, take archers, rare archers, epic archers, take any ranged unit and just get them to run along the map and see where they're targeting to see if your units are susceptible.
Yep. Always, yep. That's always a good suggestion there. All right. Let's put the tank here. What kind of mess, what kind of piercers again, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Otherwise...
So if you have the luxury of a good piercer team, and if you can make something work in Plat 3 with your piercer team, this is it. This is it right here. So you could possibly, like a Iobar. Lily has that extra extension. You could try to protect the tank from there. And best of luck to you. Hopefully your piercer team can hold up. But at this position here, all these platforms become dead. So just be careful with that. And then, of course, if for some reason you see a Glacius coming at you, he can target this platform here. Gardener Guard shouldn't get near to you if you use Piercer come from here, but if they do, this is targetable. Just little things like that to keep in mind. So that's the other thing, like Sephra says, always look to see where the Gardener Guards are targeting once they get close to the defender or they get close within that range. But within 2 tiles is where I would say there could be some danger if you let Gardener Guards get too close to you, or Glacius start doing his thing where he starts putting too much Winter Bite in the defender, and then they start pushing in to the tile that they occupy.
Glacius is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's back this guy up a little bit. Now, this is an engagement point that I'm seeing a lot of Forerunner players using early on here. So let's talk about what type of formations we can probably use here. So some of the variations that I've saw is nightmare type compositions, especially for those that have limited rosters. So I saw a lot of Torodos here. And of course, let's pretend the Valkyria here is our Su Wun Kong, and then try to just position something in the back here. Is essentially what was going on.
It's worth noting that that's that like perfect spot where you've got that tile diagonal to your tank where a Nejar would be amazing because of Nejar's unique range where he has 2 tiles ahead but on 2 tiles on either side as well.
Right.
He's going to be hitting in front of your tank, and then you can also put someone diagonal behind him as well as a DPS. So you've got good capability there with Nejar with a lot of CC as well.
Yep. So this is kind of so that's what I've been kind of seeing here. I've also seen a lot of piercer type composition or anything with Lady Alexandra being kind of put here in the back, just to start targeting things. But I really do think that in this map here, if you have Lady A, you might just want to engage in the front. Just don't let things pile up in front of her and get baited too easily. But this is kind of the idea that I'm seeing players use here. And if you have some type of fighter that has that extension, or somebody like Erlang, that you can utilize the style to CC, slow things down, start the engagement point up here, start messing with Demon Soldiers, AIs, and stuff like that. That's exactly what you want to do. Some of the protection that I saw against bookkeepers, just as an example, is people placing Imrit here, because as soon as Imrit goes off or it's able to put Winter Bites on the bookkeepers, they get confused and they don't really, sometimes they start missing their targeting, or the targeting gets askew. And if you have Carnelian, it just gives her time to then put the orbs on everybody. But you do want to make sure that this fighter here is a little bit tanky, just to be able to sustain a couple of hits. And then protect yourself against the swarm is essentially what happens if you're here, down here. Right?
Yep.
All right. So let me move on.
It's good because also there, where you've still got that space in between, your typical mage range also lands in front of the tank as well. So you've still got that space where the Garnet Guards won't target.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so kind of make sure that things don't pile up too close to the defense. Just CC. Try to CC if at all possible. This is all depending on your roster again. All right, let me move the tank here. What do we think? This is a bad spot. I wouldn't even start here. That's the point that I'm trying to make with everybody. It'd be really hard to position anything around this. This is all dead, essentially. So try to avoid that if you can. All right, here. Unless I'm missing something, because there is a platform right here. Could something with the piercers be done, or do you just one of the things right away that I pick up from this though is I think that this platform, let me see here, is 1, 2, 3, maybe no, I don't think the archers would get it.
It should be safe.
It should be safe, right? It's 3 and 3, yeah. So that's safe. So maybe some type of piercer comp. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it's an amazing space for like an Ardea to go behind. Yeah. That's perfect for an Ardea. Just that long corridor for her to hit all the way along. But it's just, I mean, the problem you have is that the type of CC unit that you would put there would be like a Beelzebub. But the massive drawback of the Beelzebub along that long corridor is that he would actually draw the units towards him.
Yep.
With his flies.
That's the unfortunate
and that
part.
Can often actually pull them behind your tank. So it's got I can imagine there would be some annoying mechanics going on there that could be quite buggy.
Because and that, so the other thing is like you have Lily here, and then she gains that extra extension with the Piercer Lord. So then now you have something that you can put here, like Valera or Dia or anybody you want to toy around with, and then put your Lady A and Iobar back here. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. But looking at that engagement point there, that was the only thing that I could come up with. Because everything else doesn't extend out that far, and it would be really hard to protect the defender from there. So I think that this is more for the end game players, those that have Lady A, if they want to even mess around with this engagement point here.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, actually. One thing I always get asked when people are kind of asking for advice on where to put their units is, what's the best Ingrid spot?
Yeah.
It's a question I always get asked.
Well, if we want to go backtrack to all of that, I mean...
It's there, exactly.
It's this one right here. But if you let things clutter too much, she's going to switch. Especially if it's a single unit, right? So if you can't bring that Pharaoh down and you get her to change, things just become easy. I think for me to really make a competent Ingrid spot, I would say competent Ingrid spot. I mean, you could probably make this work if you don't let the lightning guards pass you. It would be something where the tank is at least 2 units away from her, right? And that's what I was kind of looking for. Yeah, and that's what I was kind of looking for here. And the only other spot would be here.
But it's very restricted.
It's very restricted, right? Because as soon as you pass the defender, that's it. Everything's just going to go roll past her. Exactly. So,
the moment they push beyond, you've lost your big DPS.
Exactly.
Whenever you're building an Ingrid comp, you just have to really build a lot of CC around her, so that units pile up and put her back into her AoE mode. You want to hold them there as much as possible so that people can't just stack a single unit and force her back into a single target mode.
Yep. So for
that spot on the left there, that bottom corner spot, the good thing about that spot, if Ingrid is there, is she will beam across the entire map, including the spawn point, when she does it. So someone places a unit down, if she does her beam, she's hitting them as well. So if you can get it to work with enough CC and get her to stay in AoE mode, it can be decent, but it can also be countered with the right team.
Yeah, exactly. So my at least especially with the gauntlet, the one thing that we were focusing on, especially when it came to that Ingrid spot that we had in the tower, was just make sure that there's a way to protect ourselves against the lightning guards, because once one even gets close and is able to switch her, that's it. The other one is going to be able to pick him off. So
Exactly.
that's kind of the whole idea, the general idea. So I'm glad that you did that you brought up Ingrid for this discussion. But yeah, those are kind of the two possibilities, especially for those who may have a limited account. So
yeah.
All right. And the last engagement point that I would see here is up here, but I'm pretty much going to tell people, unless it's a nightmare composition, I don't know if you want to even toy around with this being so tightened together.
It would be too easy with it, and with existing nightmare comps, it would be too easy to actually just stack up units.
Yeah.
At that back, just let slow units all stack up, especially with the shielder dancing strat that people now use. It'd be so easy to take your time and stack up units.
And then the other thing too is, even if you put the 3 here, this is a shortcut for the demon soldiers, because they're not going to have to go through all 3. It's just 2 and then a turn, and then that's it. They're in the core, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing here is, if you clump something like this together and you give people enough time to load up Kirby or the WoR, however you want to call him, he'll chomp it down. No question.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Anything else for the keep? Did we forget anything that would be relevant for this?
I think that's
pretty much it, right? So keep in mind that tile, that fighter tile, especially the one here, especially the Zephyrus was mentioning, we have new units in the game. So if you were lucky to get Nisau's Silang in your account, you could possibly make something out of them there. And that's pretty much the keep. So good luck to those of you that have to defend this thing. All right, let's go now to the tower and let's try to finish. Now, this one is the one. This one is the one that I saw. Oh, wow. There is a lot of engagement points here. There's a lot of stuff that we could possibly do.
There's a lot of good spots.
All right. So let's go to the keep. All right. So, wow. We're going to try to make this as quick as we can, people. So, all right. First engagement point. They added a lot of ground tiles to this and a lot of platforms. This is going to be, there's going to be so many defenses here that we can look forward to. I think that this is going to really allow some players to really build good defenses. So I'm excited at the possible formations that we can come up with here. All right, so engagement point here on the bottom. I hope everybody can see that there is a ground tile there. So again, anything pretty much is open, right? It's just how you defend it against at the beginning. Just be very careful. That Garner guards could, if you let them pile up, could target that platform unit there. But it really does depend as to how you decide to stack things up here. This is what I was thinking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you do leave yourself susceptible to the Garnet guards with the Preface there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But pierces, I mean, there are so many spots that pierces can hit from here, and you're not coming close to touching them with a archer or a Garnet guard.
Yeah, and these two tiles up here, they're fine, especially if they can reach down here. These two tiles, they're not going to get targeted by archers. It's too far.
And that one on the left as well.
Yeah,
right next to Ingrid.
Yeah.
Also means that if someone manages to sneak past, there's actually still an extra tile where they're going to get hit on that corner, where you sometimes get it where a dog might actually sneak past with a sliver of health, but there's still a little tile that it has to get past to get to the portal there. So it makes it actually a little bit harder to rush your tanks as well.
Yep. So that was like, this is like, if somebody puts Lady A on Anobar here, it's I can't just.
Lady A will be a menace.
I can just imagine the nightmare that is going to be trying to defeat a tower with a Lady A up here somewhere. It's just there's not enough time to try to build things up. So
because a lot of the time you try and sneak past and then take Lady A out.
Yeah.
You've got to get across the entire map to get a chance at shooting her down.
Yeah.
And she's going to have targeted by that point. It's actually it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Okay, so let me make sure here because I did count before. So no, so Ingrid is not going to get too far down here with the disengagement point here. But again, for this area here, kind of, if you decide to put your defender here, you do have some options, especially with this platform back here. And what was
Ardea. Ardea
yeah.
would shine.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
Yeah, if you put her in that artifact, obviously the further away she is, the more damage she does.
Realm.
You're maxing out her distance here because she will reach that tile in front, and she will deal a ton of damage. You can take it so that the healer is not touching her, so that again, when she's at her lowest health, she is just chucking out a massive amount of damage.
Yep, and then if you have some type of unit that can reach all the way down here to help out, you can do that. I would be really careful about putting any unit behind the defender in this spot, okay?
Yep.
Because it can be picked off. Gardener Guards, Bookkeepers, Glaciers, just as an example. You could possibly, if you want to, get something back here that can hit over the way over here, or if you want to slow things down, with somebody like Bubba, that would be a way to do it while these all chop it down. The only thing, especially when it comes to turns here, if you don't have somebody here that is potent, bringing lightning guards down, that's possibly one way that they can bring you down, but you should be able to protect yourself very well with these platforms available to you for flyers. So that's another engagement point there. I think there is a lot of compositions that can come up with, that can come about from putting your defender here or here. So this is the spot here where I think is going to attract some of the Ingrid players.
There's one more that I would go with as well, but yeah, I think that will be a popular one as well.
So yeah, so and we've seen it from previous seasons, things like this, that you know, this type of formation here we've seen for previous seasons. So now we're just going to adapt it to the current heroes that we have, especially those that have been able to summon them into their account. So this is another fun engagement point that I think we're going to see a lot when it comes to this map, because it'll be here. Now this platform, I will say, is targetable by Gardener Guards, so just be very careful. Make sure that you have protection here in the back somehow, especially if they're able to push up here. So that would be the only warning spot when it comes to this. Also, if you don't have any CC to slow them down or anything, they clump up against a defender. Yeah, they'll target this here. But you all know, some of the astute players, GvG players, know that if you're going to put any platform units that are targetable for Gardener Guards, you got to build your platform units tanky. So that's another opportunity there. I'm seeing, at least from this position here, there's also going to be a lot for you Plat 3 players. If you have Cyrus, or you want to make anything with I playable, look at all these platforms that you can use just to slow things down or cast havoc right at the front. So a lot of possibilities here. So I do love this spot here for a defense. All right, let's keep moving up. So here's another engagement point. Would be careful about using this platform unit, but again, this is where going to be, type of the fighter on the back type of defense that's going to be popular for those that have that type of roster.
Again, Pierces shine in pretty much every spot here.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's so many spaces for Pierces, just all over the place. Where they can go, because their reach is just so good with that extension. So if your roster's obviously really limited and you've still only got an Naraka, for example, as your only Lord, even then you could build her a CC, a very tanky CC, and there's still plenty of spaces to use her if your roster is very limited. But obviously Eovar shines here. This is where him and Lady A, if you've got her, are going to cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah. This is that for top end GvG. This is going to be a luxury, especially if you have Lady A, as to where you can spot things up. So there's going to be a lot of frustration, I feel, in terms of beating some defenses here. All right, let me move him up a little bit.
I will say though, we've been calling out for more variations for us to be able to build middle, front, back defenses. So I'm really glad that we've actually got this variation, so it's not just attacking the same thing again and again and again.
I welcome it. I welcome it because now we're going to see different things. It's gonna at least from my perspective and how our guild is run and how GvG is run by within our guild. There's going to be a lot of more. There's going to be a requirement a little bit more for engagement now, especially with setting things up or setting examples. But because it's not going to be the same thing. Our libraries should be a whole lot bigger than what we had in the previous 4 seasons, in how restricted things are. So yeah, I'm looking. There's a lot of possibilities here. Okay, so for this one here, this is kind of mimicking the Season 9 Gauntlet in terms of how the engagement came about. But because there are more ground units, more platform units around it, there's possibly stuff that you can build here. I just would be really careful, especially with the new captains, the chomper, and trying to protect this fighter style or this fighter tile here. But at least fortunate they gave us a ground unit here that we could possibly make something with it, just to slow things down or help the defender prevent the rush or something, just to make sure that anything that we place back here is able to bring all this stuff down if they do get past the defender.
Yeah, it's all about just building as much CC as possible as well when it comes to dealing with the worm, or the Kirby as you call it. It's you've just got to try and interfere. Like even Brokir himself is great. One of the most frustrating things I was having when I was actually going against one of the Dragonshire worms. When I was going against Dragonshire defenses, was Brokir kept freezing my worm. Just when he was about to do his double chomp, Brokir propped freeze. Did it like 2 or 3 times in a row, and it was just one of those where it can be. CC is one of the best ways to kind of hamper the worm.
Yep, exactly. Yep, and that's why you want to build your Brokir with a lot of speed if you can, especially if you want to protect yourself against the chompers. So because that freeze, So I do think that is one way that you can get around the chomper, if you can apply a lot of the freeze mechanic or some type of CC just to get him confused. Because what makes him so great is that double chomp. So if you can somehow get the RNG to prevent him from hitting you again, at least you have time to recover. But it's when he does the double chomp that's
where tanks like Torador as well with his built-in stuns.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, useful for that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things, it's just like we got to put speed on our tanks now. Let's just get them to go as quickly as we can. So yeah, great tip there in terms of hero building. All right. This spot, I don't like it. What do you think?
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Same. So if possible, people avoid it if you can. All right. So not much to say there. It's just too much susceptibility here. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I will say though, you could still technically make piercers work, but you'd be much more restricted. You'd need a ground unit where Valara is. You'd need 2 squares back from where Valara is. You could place 1 piercer, and then behind Preface where Lily is at the moment, you could place a 2nd piercer. So you could, but I just think there are better spots.
All right, the next engagement point here appears to be this one here. Now,
this one is, I like this one.
Are you seeing it as well? Okay, so we have a potential spot here. These platforms, they're kind of dead, or they are dead, so I wouldn't use them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this one if you can protect, but I'm not sure. This spot here is possible, right? So
that one's possible if you're running Carnelian. Me personally.
Yep. Carnelian's going to be a big one. Yep. And then you have a healer spot here. And remember, you're protected. Nothing can snipe you from here. And now we have like a 3rd spot here. I don't know if there's some type of fighter that can reach that range, but you have 2 possibilities here. You also have the platform here. You have the platform here. I don't know. I'd be cautious about using this platform. I don't like that spot.
I wouldn't. I mean, there are so many spots there that ideally you would do one kind of fighter ground unit, or you could even do like a Reeve or something as well. If you depending on your roster, if you are just trying to get as much CC as you can as well, you could put a second tank there. But I would put like a Neja there if you've got that in your roster.
Yep.
That's perfect spot for her.
So if I would do double tank, so you brought up Reeve, another one that just came about, Stralen, right? It would be here. I'm not sure that you want to do something here. Why is the mechanic of the bookkeeper? Because if you give him an opportunity to target on something, it'll splash, right?
Yeah.
So then this platform becomes targetable. So then it would be this would be the safe spot.
It's also important to know. Yeah. Okay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's one thing to always look out for as well, specifically with Torador, is when Torador gets killed, even though he's got his revives, in between his revives, your platform units will be very susceptible there.
Right. Yep.
So you have to be mindful of where you're placing them, and almost who you want to be targeted first in that situation, and place them accordingly, because a lot of those places are interchangeable. But if there's one unit who you don't mind being dropped off first, place them in the most susceptible spot. So, for example, above Brokir.
Right. This would be it. This would be the one. Yep. Correct. So, so keep that in mind if you do decide to make this the engagement point here. But this here does give you possibilities. Especially depends on the roster that you have, but it does give you possibilities here. So, again, if you place them here, we wouldn't use these two platforms. This is vulnerable, quote unquote, and this one is don't use this. This becomes a dead tile. All right, let me back this guy up. And now, would you do anything with the tank there? No. So this here, these are just possibilities for you to use them if you put your defender here. But this would be an engagement point here. I would not make this an engagement point or this here. It just, everything is dead at that point. All right, perfect. So did we cover everything in terms of defense building, or what type of unit? Is there anything else that we need to point the people to make a competent defense, especially here in the tower?
No, I think this is the one. This is the map that will allow you to get a bit more creative. I think we'll see a lot more variation in comps in this one, which is great. Given the strength of current Demon Soldiers, I think it's amazing that we've now got a bit more leeway, a bit more flexibility.
Okay, now let's put it in a general term, especially from what I saw on Dev's Insight. So when people were saying the Chumper is a little bit overpowered, one of the replies was, we believe that the Season 10 map should knock that back. What do you think?
I agree. I do think that there are enough... Don't get me wrong, the worms are crazy overpowered. They are extremely strong, but they are currently the only answer to some of the best tanks in the game.
That's one. Yep.
If you take the worms away, aside from like your captains, you would really struggle to put a dent in some of these axes. Your assassins that we used to rely on to take the tanks, they're not doing it anymore. You're going to really struggle, especially on this kind of map. You need the worm or the Grotesque Fiend. So I do see that. I do think it will kind of limit it. We saw it even in Gauntlet. We're finding ways to counter them a bit more now. We're finding kind of ways to just get the stuns out, get the freezers out, get the pushbacks out, so that they can't get their double chomp in time.
Yep. So if we're gonna leave you with anything here in terms of the defense building, it's that yes, the maps were open up a little bit more. Now we can really fortify the formations, putting units closer or trying to protect the defender a little bit in terms of making sure that the Grotesque Fiend, Kirby, the Worm, however you want to call them, really is not afforded the opportunity to, like we said previously, do that double jump. And so that's what you want to look in your build, especially if you are trying to defend against them, is put some CC in it. Something that'll mess with the AI a little bit. And yes, the top players in Gauntlet, we kind of saw ways to try to make sure that he wasn't able to do that double jump. So yeah, so make sure builds are helping. What composition you put around, who do you use as your tank, that's also coming into play. So don't it's like, don't be afraid of the Grotesque Fiend. Yes, he's annoying, but I think that, yeah, based on your roster, I think that some players are going to be able to compensate for him a little bit more this season. But we're pushing him level 7 already in some accounts, so it's going to be really hard to defend against him if you don't have the BP. That's the only thing.
The 9s now. Mad when it comes to the Grotesque Fiend, right? And it's important to stress when they are that high and when they're at the kind of the really high level BP affiliations, especially compared to what your gearing is, it's normal for your tank to drop. That doesn't mean it's the end of the run. That doesn't mean your defense has fallen. There were loads of situations where actually the tanks did fall, but the run wasn't closed because there was enough CC to hold everything in place. So people, a lot of the time, what's happening is people are using the Grotesque Fiend with the rare spiders, with the abyssal kind of epic units.
The Beholder.
That's already 3 that have been used up in attack, which means the attacker now only has 2 slots left to close, which a lot of the time is something like dogs. They might even have brought a fool to try and keep the Grotesque Fiend alive long enough as well.
Right.
So if you've brought enough CC and enough DPS to now just keep them in check, you can still get a win. We saw that quite a lot.
So for an example, one of the defenses that I was tasked to try to figure out was he had a Valera in the back of the tank, and there was a Carnelian in it. So even if I was able to bring the tank down, it wasn't guaranteed that the Fiend would get to Valera and chomp her down, because if she wasn't in her invisible state, the Fiend would just go by. So there was in the actual live run, that's what happened to me. It was the tank went down, but Valera still stood there, and I had 2 units to try to get past Valera. And so, I managed to get 2 dogs past her, but it would have been a lot easier if the Fiend was able to get through her. But because of her CC, her invisibility, it gave that defense another life, another shot to stay up. So yeah, good point.
The general rule of thumb when it comes to building a good defense is the more RNG you can put into your defense,
yes,
the better it will be.
Yeah, exactly.
You will have your attackers pulling their hair out because they haven't realized that Valara doing extra attacks against one defense because they had a higher affiliation will mean that she will do her pushback at a different time to when someone else does their attack.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it very hard to follow an attack code. For example, they have to do a manual attack.
Yeah.
So that's what you want to be kind of trying to build into your defense.
Yep. All right. Perfect sort of. So I am a little bit optimistic in terms of defense building, ways to combat the Grotesque Fiend, and the possibilities that we have here in the tower. The keep, kind of, there are spots.
Yeah.
There are spots, but I think that at least in the keep, there'll be predominant compositions that are going to dominate there. But yeah, the tower, they did a good job, at least in opening this up. We'll see. We'll see if this also allows the other demon soldiers to come out and shine as well. The chaotic and the frostborn units, as people start opening more chests and start getting the captain units. So yeah, I'm hoping that things do improve here for GvG, because it is needed, and I'm also excited in terms of seeing what happens at the top. Especially with the competition, as it's settling out now and here in season 10.
In Mad, we lost. So I'm going to give massive props to Dragonshire, because they really brought their A game, and it has really mixed things up. So it's one of those things where it's something to look forward to. We're looking forward to it. We're licking our wounds at the moment, and then we've got to dust ourselves off and get better.
So this is going to be my question as the season progresses: is did Dragonshire wake up that hibernating bear?
That's what we'll find
out, right? Perfect. Yeah. I look forward to it. Separate. Thank you very much for joining me in to do this tutorial. It was fun to interact with you in that manner, especially when it comes to GvG.
Yeah.
You guys are, let's say you're at the top. You are now being contested, but it's always great to have another mind come in and discuss how people can improve their defenses when it comes to GvG. So thank you very much for the time. I do appreciate it, and I will put all your details in the description section of this video. So go ahead and go follow him. He does a lot of content. It's not all GvG. There is other stuff that he does put in his channel as well as it pertains to Watcher of Realms. Anything you want to close out the video with?
I just thank you so much for having me on.
Great. Thank you all very much for tuning and watching. As always, questions are welcome in the comment section. I will see you all in the next video, and please do hit like and subscribe on your way out.